The South really started to distinguish itself not just from the Cotton Kingdom perspective from the 1820s to 1860, but also you have to understand the industrialization and or the lack thereof in the South. So while the North was building all these textile mills and all these industrial mills, and they were industrializing basically, the South was building its cotton empire, its cotton kingdom. So the South wasn't as concerned with building roads or railroads or canals or any of those types of systems of heavy transport because they didn't really need it. Most of the railroads that they had and roads were reasonably short, reasonably local. Maybe you're going from Charleston to Savannah. Maybe you're connecting Memphis to New Orleans or something along those lines. You can use the Mississippi River in a number of different instances. The Ohio River connects. You're using water as a system. Okay. So you have steamboats taking things from Kentucky down to Missouri or elsewhere. You're not really relying on trade and taking things from Chicago to New York and vice versa or anything else of the sort. So you're not investing in as much infrastructure because you don't feel you have to. Hold that thought. That's going to come into play in a few different chapters. Otherwise, though, the South really started advocating for its own economic dependence, its own commercial and agricultural dependence. It didn't need northern agricultural products, and really, it didn't need northern commercial products either. At least so they felt. So, from that perspective, you're starting to really kind of see this kind of an independent type mentality among Southerners because they are self sufficient. So, you do have people kind of ringing the bell that it's kind of a false independence in a sense because if you have other things going on, you may be in a situation where you're not gonna reach all of your people. First of all, you don't have any publications really coming out of the South either. Any publications really come from out of New York, and they don't have a Southern perspective. So most people don't really realize just how much dependent they are on the North than what's previously thought. Otherwise, though, from a Southern cultural and economic dependent standpoint, there wasn't a whole lot of other emphasis, not just on roads and canals and trains, anything else like that. There wasn't a whole lot of concern for economic expansion outside of cotton, agriculture in the first place, but specifically cotton. Why? Why would you need to? Cotton is so immensely profitable that you don't really feel that you need to expand economically. It's very short sighted. But the region's agricultural system is immensely profitable. And if you're doing well in life because of cotton, you don't really feel the need to diversify. If you have an investment portfolio, so to speak, maybe you've got some mutual funds, maybe it's invested in uh, some international stocks, maybe you've got some bonds, maybe you've got some large caps, small caps, maybe you got in on an IPO for something like, I don't know, Google or Apple or something like that, Facebook, and you've got a diversity of investments. So, if one particular aspect of your investment portfolio is struggling, the rest of it should be able to keep everything afloat, if not still growing, because you're diversified. And that's essentially what you have in the North. In the South, they pretty much have all their eggs in one basket. They bought big on Apple, baby. That's what they're doing. Okay, so what if Apple tanks? You might have all of your investment in Apple stock, and all of a sudden Apple tanks or even files for bankruptcy. Oops. Hold that thought. Okay. But at this point in American history, it's one of these things to where, okay, the South has all their eggs in the cotton basket, and they don't really see a need to diversify. Things are going extremely well. And largely, you have wealthy Southerners who maybe just that, they're very wealthy, But a large part of the wealthiest Southerners have most of their money tied up in their working capital, their land, uh, the slaves, their equipment. They really don't have a whole lot to invest in anything else because their capital's tied up, and maybe they'll reap the benefits at the end of it. Um, Also, because things are harsher and hotter, they don't really feel the need to industrialize because the southern climate is very hot in the first place. So, Southerners often take the appeal of, look, it's hard as it is. Why do we need to make it worse? Why don't we just kind of relax a little bit? We're Southerners. We can we can kick back a little bit. So you're starting to believe in a value system that's based off of a little bit more leisurely activity. I'm gonna relax a little bit more, drink some sweet tea on my front porch. That sort of mentality. Um, this idea of chivalry comes out of play. You see a modern feminist movement that completely rejects chivalry. Uh, I've kind of go back and forth on that because I understand women and independence or anything else of the sort. Sometimes it's just really nice for somebody to be courteous by leaving a door open for you, pulling out your chair, opening your car door. The idea of chivalry is really born out of Southern gentleman type society where you may be responsible for the entirety of your plantation and you must look out after people who don't necessarily have a stake in it. So you must be courteous, you must be kind, you must be a gentleman, you must be a southern refined gentleman, if you will. Um, a refined, gracious life is something that the South embraces, whereas New Yorkers, get out of my way. I need to get to the subway. I need to get to work. Okay? Everybody in New York always seems fast, 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 fast. Get here. I don't have time for you. Okay? When you live in a city that's got millions and millions of people in a small area, you're going to have conflict. You're going to have people who don't mess around. In the South, things can be a bit more gracious. People can be kind. People can be different. Um, you're starting to see that real cultural development and shift. It's based out of necessity in the South. Things are just different, quieter, more relaxed, gracious. If you've ever seen um, Gone with the Wind, you see a good representation of what that Southern grace might actually look like. Okay, not all Southerners are like this, obviously, but especially your wealthiest are a bit like that. So that may be something for you to consider down the line. But otherwise, those are some differences between the North and the South and how things got to be further entrenched within the Cotton Kingdom.